Community Radio with Global Soul. And this is the Adam Messer Show. I'm your host, Adam Messer, here today with my special guest and good friend of mine, Alledria Hurt. Allie, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to have you back on. So everybody, Allie and I, we've been friends for a couple of years now, and she is a local Savannah author. You've got a lot of stuff going on, right?
I do. It's like every time I turn around, I realize that I have another project.
I know. I'm excited too because, well, you got some big stuff going on. Like so here. Well, actually, everybody, before we get too far in, Happy Valentine's Day. So I hope you're having a great day out there, and Happy Valentine's to you too, Allie.
Thank you.
I know I said it to you before we got on air, but I wanted to say it again. So. You said it's been a good one?
Yeah, it's been a good one.
That's good. Well, everybody, Sebastian is not in the studio today, but I have a special treat. I've got a recording that I'm going to play right now of him. So here is Sebastian Messer playing. All right, so I'm going to play some of those throughout the show since he's not here in person. Usually he's playing live, but I'm excited because he's got his band Krieger Alley that he's actually, they did their first gig a couple weeks back. Can you believe that?
Nice.
Yeah, it's they're doing like kind of like a thrash metal. They're working on some original stuff right now, and
yeah.
So he's been really good with like he's been playing since he was like 13, but he's been really good about like creating his own instrumental music, and so now they're working on lyrics and making like songs to those songs, the instrumental songs. So I'm excited for him. I'm like, oh man, I told him I was like, dude, you gotta put Blood Thrasher, my song that I wrote for the first one, you gotta put it to music for me. So they're gonna do that too.
Yes.
Yeah, because I wrote like a heavy
Blood
metal.
Thrasher can have its official theme song.
Yeah, I wrote that song like with everybody out there, if you're tuning in, Allie and I like we talk about writing and all kinds of stuff. But Blood Thrasher is my first. It's the Savannah Vampire novel series, and it's my first published book that I put out, and it's about a heavy metal vampire band called Blood Thrasher, set in 1989 in the heyday of like heavy metal. And so they come here to Savannah or whatever. And one of the things I wrote in there was a song, like a heavy metal song, where they come out and like Anna, who is my main character, she's like just blowing it away. And I always thought of like, back in the day, like Heart and like you got Pat Benatar and you got Stevie Nicks and those vocalists or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was thinking like, oh, that would be so cool to have, like a heavy metal ballad like that, And so I wrote it in there, and I was like, oh man, now that my son's playing heavy metal, I'm like, dude, you got to put this to music for me. I got to hear it, So I think that's one of the cool things, Allie, about storytelling. And so do you mind, because I know you, and I know some of our people that are listening, they know you, but would you mind like kind of giving just an introduction for yourself?
Oh, wow.
I was born.
Well,
I grew up.
I am I am the author of a number of speculative fiction stories. I started out in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania for all of a month. Then I moved to Savannah. Then I moved to Europe. Then I moved back to Savannah. And that's where I've been ever since.
Nice.
So my formative years are a little different because I grew up in Germany. And actually I did go out to the British Pie Society. Pie Society, for those of you who are in the area, is the British pie shop where you can get meat pies.
Oh yeah. Guess what? I was just there yesterday.
Makes me very happy.
I just went there yesterday, Allie. You know why?
Why?
It was Terry Dremel's birthday yesterday.
Ah.
Yes, my good friend Terry and his wife Darlene, we're all really good friends, and we went down there to the one on City Market, and we had
the little Crown Pub.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. We went there and we had so much fun. So shout out Terry, happy birthday again. I know I said it yesterday, but everybody listen, I know you hear me talking about Terry a lot, but I'm like that with my friends. I love my friends and I want to support my friends, and I want to,
Yeah.
So that's so cool. So when was the last time you went down there?
I actually didn't go to the one on City Market. I went to the one out in Pooler because
yeah.
it has a little like UK treats grocery section.
Oh yeah, I love. Publix has a little one like that too. Did you know Publix?
They do?
Yeah, that Publix has like a whole little tiny little section. It's like maybe 3 feet wide, but they have like little British treats, like candies and the biscuits, which are cookies, I guess everybody, and or digestives. Biscuits. My son's always laughing at me, like he's like, "Get your digestives," because like you say digestives here, you think of like, mucil.
You think of almost like a laxative.
Yeah.
Which is not what they're talking about.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Allie, that's so funny because I never knew that about you. I didn't know that you like British culture like that.
Oh, I love British because I grew up watching DJ Cat in the afternoon. When I was a kid, you know how you know how over here we had Nickelodeon?
Mm-hmm.
You had DJ Cat in the afternoon.
Oh wow!
And it was actually a call-in show.
No way.
You could call in and play games with DJ Cat.
No way.
Absolutely.
Oh my
I
gosh.
had British cable. That was the first time that we had cable. We got British cable over in Germany.
Oh my gosh.
So I would watch DJ Cat in the afternoon, and kids would call in and they would play little games. And he played the X-Men, which is the first time I got to see the X-Men.
What?
Yes, the 90s X-Men.
The animated series?
That's the first time I got to see it.
Oh, wow. That's crazy because I'm a big X-Men fan from back in the day. And I'm also a big British fan. Like, you know what I've been reading this week, Allie?
What?
I've been reading the Transformers UK comics that were like... I'm kidding you not. Like when I was growing up, I used to watch British TV too. We used to watch like Are You Being Served and Benny Hill and of course Doctor Who and all those cool British shows that were on like PBS.
Vicar of Dibley, Red Planet.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones is Red Dwarf. Like I am a huge Red Dwarf fan. And like Terry actually turned me on to this show called The Prisoner, which was a 1-season, 17-episode series, and it is mind blowing. Like that series is mind blowing. It was based in the 60s, but like all the stuff that we're dealing with today with like overreach of like social media and big conglomerates and government and all that, they were talking about that kind of stuff back in the day. Like the show was all like, this guy was a Secret Service agent. And he leaves the Secret Service, but he doesn't tell him why. And so they kidnap him and they take him to this island, and he's a prisoner because they assign him number 6. And he's like, and he's like, I won't be branded, I'm not a number, I am a man. And like, it's just, oh my gosh, it's like this cult classic show. I've never seen it until this last year, and Terry was the one that turned me on to it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Yeah, I've actually never heard of that one, so I'll have to look it up.
I'll send you a link to it afterwards. But it is it's on Amazon Prime, and
Hmm.
but it was a 17 episode series, and it's one of those ones where like you just kind of get enthralled with it. You know, you're like, what?
Hmm.
It took me a little bit to get used to it, um, but once I was in, I was hooked. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And that kind of reminds me, I mean, coming back to storytelling, like I really love your art of storytelling. I feel like you are a really good storyteller. You have been writing for a long time, and
Yeah.
you actually have some like accolades this time around too to talk about, right?
Yeah, I my first novel that has been done by a small press publisher, Mocha Memoirs Press, is Hugo eligible this year,
That is amazing.
which is amazing to me because I have like the idea that something that I wrote is eligible for an award. Little
It's
tear.
incredible. That's incredible. No, I'm really proud of you. I mean, like, it's so crazy because everybody, Allie has a story in my Valhalla books. She actually has a story and was also the assistant editor for the anthology. And when I wanted to do the small print publishing thing, I asked Allie if she would help me with editing because I wanted to get my chops with editing. And it's one thing like when you self-publish and you put your own stuff out there, that's hard enough as it is. But then when you're juggling, like a group of people with getting the stories in and the deadlines, and and then going through and I'm not one of these editors. I don't like to try to ask the writer to change stuff. I'm not a developmental editor like that. I'm more of like, I like to hear your voice as a writer. And then if something doesn't make sense to me, then I'm going to be like, hey, can you tell me more about this? Or, like, well, for example, with you got a new series that you're going to be doing with us. I was like, hey, I don't understand this. Tell me, what is this? It doesn't make sense to me, and then we worked it out
Yeah.
and everything, I feel like that's a good way, to edit when you're working because it's a partnership, it's like
Yeah.
it's not a transaction. It's a partnership because, we both invested in the success of the story. So I'm so excited that you have your book Alice out and that it is eligible for the Hugo Award. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a really big deal. It's like, especially since I've been writing pretty consistently since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I have approximately 30 pieces out as of my last count.
Oh, wow.
And some of them I consider to be quite good. Others of them I'm like, you're middling. But none of them are bad. But this is the first one I've got that's ever been, that people have said, this is award eligible.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, oh, okay, great. I don't even care if I win. I just want to be nominated.
I know, right? And it's so crazy because with our anthology, we made it on the reading list, but we didn't make it to the preliminary ballot. But the anthology Slay that you're in made it to the preliminary ballot for the Stoker Awards.
It made the preliminary ballot for the Horror Writers Association.
So I'm rooting for Slay because that's another Mocha Memoirs Press book. And everybody, Nicole Givens Kurtz that was on last week, she's been on several times. She's the I guess the editor and founder of Mocha Memoirs Press. So when we're talking about that, that's what we're talking about. It's like we're talking about their books and African diaspora. Is it
Diaspora?
Yeah. Well, see, Nicole, I thought that too. She told me you could say it either way. Diaspora or diaspora. I guess like I'm still learning
it's
about
however
it.
it rolls off your tongue.
Yeah, I'm still learning about it. I think it's so interesting, and I feel it's incredible that you are part of that and that you're, I mean, you're putting in the work, and you're doing it.
Yeah.
So, Let me do the
Yes,
station
and
ID real quick. Everybody,
quick.
thank you for tuning in today. You're listening to the Adam Messer Show with my special guest, Alledria Hurt, who is an author. And you're listening to us here on WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited because, Allie, like I started fiction writing in 2014, but I didn't publish anything until 2018. And I've written a lot, but I haven't written like 30 publications in the last 7 years. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's incredible. And matter of fact, Josh and we were talking, Josh Vasquez, everybody, we were talking, about publishing and like, working with the Valhalla book stuff. And, I'm excited about your new series is going to be coming out this summer with us. Do you mind telling everybody a little bit about that?
I am writing a cyberpunk science fiction story called Dreamless about what happens when people in the world stop dreaming because they're all addicted to energy drinks and energy drink culture.
Ooh.
The 24/7 go, 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 hustle, 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 hustle.
That's not too far stretch, is it?
Not really.
I had a dream last night, and I was like, oh my gosh! I woke up. It was so freaky. I was like, oh, I could imagine like if people just slept and they don't dream at all.
Yes, what happens is we get a subsect of people that they call dreamers, who do the dreaming, who basically help you to dream, because what we have realized through research is that if the brain never dreams, never shuts down, you go crazy.
Oh yeah, it's like those folks that stay up for days and days and days on end.
You start seeing gremlins.
Yeah, I remember there was some Russian experiment. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a Russian experiment where they kept the folks up for like, I don't know how many days it was, but the folks started all going insane.
Yes, because your brain is actually actively not built to do that.
Right. Right. No, I mean, like our subsystems are designed to sleep and repair and redo our bodies, right? And our brains. Yeah. You know what I always found fascinating too is neuroplasticity, like the way that we learn and the neural networks that our brains create as we learn things. And I was just like, oh my gosh, because as a kid they always said, oh, you can't grow new brain cells. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know you can grow new neural tunnels or whatever they call them. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I've always thought it was fascinating. And when you're talking about your story, it's like, wow, like kind of neat brain science type stuff. It's like, what happens when, these folks don't dream and they're stuck on,
They're stuck on the go culture. And it's like, so when they don't dream, they turn into a dreamless. And a dreamless is basically a like rabid feral human.
Tell me more about that.
So that is what happens to them. It's like they're not zombies.
Right.
They are capable of thinking. They are capable of problem solving. They are just so driven to go, 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 go that they don't have the ability to stop.
Yeah.
And for a reason, they can sense or like smell a dreamer. And they want to get rid of them because, of course, they lost the ability to dream. They've gone crazy and they want to take out anybody that they can.
That's freaky.
And it's just like,
I'm excited because I haven't read it yet. Like I've been waiting. Like I know you and Wynn Strock are working on the edits. I've been waiting. Yes. I've been waiting to read it. And everybody, when I was talking earlier about the editing thing, I read like the first page or so, and Allie and we had a conversation about like I don't want to do any spoilers. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but I had a pretty deep question I wanted to talk with her about, and we talked it out and we worked it out, and It made sense. It just didn't make sense to me at the time. And I think that is a tribute to we're all human. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
we have to, like we have to keep the game plan and the goal in mind of like, well, what are we doing? Are we, what are we trying to accomplish here? And I think for me, that's pretty cool. It's a learning experience, because Mark Allen Gunnell's book came out yesterday. That's the first independent published novelist that we have out. Yours is going to be, excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all. I've got like, give me a, I have like a tickle in my throat.
Yeah, I just saw Mark's book. I just saw the the advert for Mark's book, and I was like, "Oh, it's so cute." Now I have to read it because I'm sitting there going, "So what actually happens in this?" Because I get an idea of how it works based on his blurb, but I'm just like, I want to see what happens in this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. I got a little choked up there.
So I
No, I
want
think
to see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm excited because so your book is going to be the second standalone series with a brand new series. Okay,
Yeah.
Josh Vasquez, and I'm putting this out there, everybody. I'm actually gonna write an article about this because I'm so excited about this too. But Josh Vasquez, he is publishing with Valhalla Books now, exclusively.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so his stuff, he's got a new Death, which is the Savannah Zombie novel series. He's written a director's cut of the first book.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's republishing the first and second book. And then the third book is going to be with Valhalla Books, and it is a brand new book. It has not been published before. And that's all coming out here in March and April. And your books, we're putting those out. That's going to be the first, excuse me, I have got like this, I don't know what the deal is, y'all. But yours is going to be the first series. It's going to be like the first brand new published series with us. And it's going to be the first cyberpunk / cyberfunk. Milton Davis calls it cyberfunk. I think it's a pretty cool name.
Milton Davis calls it cyberpunk.
Yeah. But yours is going to be the first cyberpunk sci-fi novel that we're doing. And it's going to be the series. Yeah. I am so excited because it really is a joy for me to be able to work with people that I admire and that I like their work, like yourself, and friends of mine. I mean, like y'all are my friends, and like I said earlier, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm like I don't know why I've got this tickle in my throat. It's not, I haven't been feeling sick or anything like that. I think I swallowed air the wrong way. You ever do that? You're like,
yeah.
But so everybody, I have been doing this thing with the Savannah Quill. I started it May the 13th, 2016. Before that, when I was working on writing and publishing and stuff like that, I was just getting my chops and trying to write. I didn't really understand publishing. I'd been I started studying it and whatever. But with the Savannah Quill, I hosted several conventions. And Allie, you've been a big part of that. And then when we were doing the Books and Brews Savannah, which is a charitable fundraiser that we do for the raising money for the Ronald McDonald Charities of Coastal Empire.
Mm-hmm.
That I wanted to keep the charitable stuff that we do separate. And so everybody, when I started Valhalla Books, is actually February the 23rd. I'm sorry, February the 23rd last year is when I started Valhalla Books. Before that, it was the Savannah Quill Publishing House, but the Valhalla Books came around last February. And it's so exciting to be able to work with you and Josh, Mark, Winstrock, Bobby Nash, and then there's some other people too that I've been talking with, but I haven't actually planned anything out with them yet. We're working on stuff, but I'm just so excited to be able to do this with y'all. I mean, like to me, it's so much fun.
Yeah. Well, I've always found publishing fun. Aside from the nuts and bolts of it, the storytelling aspect of publishing has always been my favorite thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, even if I never published another book, I would still be writing. If I never published another book a day in my life, I would still be writing, because if I don't, the gremlins in my head will eat me.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
So it's like I have a compulsion to get these stories out of my head. And it just so happens that I can also make a little bit of money doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so cool. Hey, did you, I can't remember or not, but I thought you did, but you joined the Horror Writers Association too?
I did.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
I am also a Horror Writers Association member. I am hoping one day to make enough money to join SIFLA.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America.
I think that's great. Yeah, I'm a Horror Writers Association member as well, everybody, and I think it's good. I like the organization, and I feel like that they try to do a good job with promoting the especially dark spec fiction and horror. Then they try to, I think they do a good job of trying to, put it out there and make people aware, like, hey, there's a lot of stuff, and I've actually been putting a lot of our stuff on there. If you go on the website right now, like the Devil's Due is on their front page on the horror members books and all, so I feel like it's a good
Devil's
place.
Due. Writing and editing Devil's Due was actually a lot of fun for me. It was a chance for me to see 13 different viewpoints on the same kind of material. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, Devil's Due is built on the premise of the deal with the devil. Now, those 13 different authors, including myself, took it from various different viewpoints, because some of them had a literal devil, some of them had a person as a devil, mm-hmm. some of them had the person had themselves as the devil. It just didn't matter. It didn't matter. They picked a story and they ran with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I set the premise on it,
another thing that's wonderful.
Well, that's the thing. When I set the premise on it, I was really like I was very clear cut about what I wanted, but I was very open minded too with like what I was expecting, because the only thing I said was the premise was a deal with the devil gone wrong, and no happy endings. But it was like clear cut, like that's the premise. It has to be a deal gone wrong with the devil of sorts. It doesn't have to be a devil, per se. And then no happy endings were the only two stipulations of the premise. And I was so tickled to see and so pleased to see, like you said, all the different authors and their perspectives, because the incredible stuff that they came up with. I mean, like your story, The Black Rock, was amazing.
Yeah, my story, The Black Rock, was every writer's dream and nightmare all in one go.
Yeah. Hold that thought for a second, Allie. We got to do the mid-break for the station.
Cool.
Give me 1 second here, y'all. All right, here we go.
What does it mean when we say that WRUU is a community radio station? It doesn't just mean that we invite the community to create programming. And it doesn't just mean that we are a voice for the community. It also means that we are counting on the community to keep us going. And you are the community. Almost all of our modest budget comes from small annual or monthly donations from listeners like you. You get to enjoy our community-focused programming because many others have stepped forward to do their part. Now do your part by joining our community of listener donors. Go to WRUU.org right now and make a one-time or monthly donation. And thank you for supporting Savannah's community radio station, 107.5 FM.
This is a message from the Georgia State Department of Public Health. There is a State of Georgia hotline people can call with questions or if they think they may have been exposed to the COVID-19 virus. It is 1-844-442-2681. If you believe you're experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 or have been exposed to the novel coronavirus, please contact your primary care doctor, an urgent care clinic, or your local federally qualified healthcare center. Please do not show up at an emergency room or healthcare facility unannounced. More information can be found at dph.georgia.gov. This portion of WRUU Savannah Soundings programming is provided by listeners and by Brighter Day Natural Foods. Brighter Day Natural Foods has been serving Savannah's healthy food and supplement needs since 1978. It is located at the corner of Bull Street and Park Avenue. They have available online ordering and curbside delivery, and now a walk-up window for smoothies, juices, and sandwiches from the deli. They are open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 12 to 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. More information can be found at brighterdayfoods.com.
And this is a piece by Sebastian Messer, everybody. He's just playing, this is a pre-recorded playing of him. I don't know that it's his original song, but it's him playing. It might be a cover, or it might be just him noodling, I don't know. And thank you. So one thing too, everybody, and I just want to say this to you because WRUU is an all volunteer radio station. We are a community-based radio station here, and we have a huge. I feel like we have a huge gathering of hosts and shows, and we have like just a wonderful eclectic mix of different things like talk shows and music shows and things you're not going to hear like on commercial avenues and stuff like that. We don't run advertisements, but we do have partnerships with community groups, and we have those, and those help pay for like our engineering and electrical bills and utilities and things like that, the lease for the building and equipment. So one of the things that we ask is if you like what you hear and you like our shows, like my show or other shows that we have, like Savannah at Night, or like Ed Susevich's Savannah on Film, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of shows out there. Consider supporting us and becoming a supporter by going to wruu.org and making a one-time donation or a monthly donation, because every dollar helps. And like, I'm not getting paid to ask you this or to say this, and it's not even like on my schedule today to do this. I just wanted to reach out to y'all because I'm going on my third year of doing this radio show, and I love being able to talk with friends like Alledria Hurt. I can't do that without you. I cannot do that without you supporting the station as well. So even if you want, like to give $1, just a one-time $1, that $1 will actually help out with our bills. If you want to do, let's say like a $20 a month donation, that $20, if you think about the programming that you get and the amount of entertainment that you can get throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the years that you've been listening to us, even if it's a one-time donation, just whatever amount that you feel comfortable with. And if you can't do that, that's okay. There's other ways that you can help support us with like sharing, the station and, things like that. So, we appreciate you, and your help. And so, just go to wru.org and check it out. And thank you. So, excuse me, Allie. So I want to go back. So can you tell everybody more about your short story, The Black Rock?
Well, The Black Rock was my own thought on a deal with the devil. Now, as a writer, someone who's been writing for a long time, I know the seduction of the idea of overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows there's no such thing as overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd all like to be that one.
Yeah.
We'd love to be that one. So in The Black Rock, my struggling writer comes across the ability to make a wish on a black rock. All it requires is a little bit of blood.
I think it's so
And
cool
then-
because your story and my story, well, I used a genie, but I had the same kind of premise, and we didn't even talk about it. It was so crazy.
Nope.
And mine was on a kid that he lost his parents, like never was around his dad. His mom died of cancer, and he comes across a genie that's bound to a book, and he wishes to be a famous author, but at what price? So.
Yes. The question becomes, at what price?
Yeah, it's like, what are you willing to bargain? So, and the crazy thing about it, Allie, with the Devil's Due, is the whole reason why I wanted to do the premise of, a deal gone wrong with the devil and no happy endings is because, like you said, there's no overnight success. People, if they think it's too like good to be true, it usually is, and it's not going to work out. And it's, there was no like moral or any kind of like Aesop's fables type stuff. It wasn't any of that, but it was just more like, you're not going to win. If you're trying to do something unscrupulous, it's not going to work out for you.
No.
And that's one of the things I love about the premise of that.
At the end of the story, she does get what she wanted, just not the way she wanted it.
Yeah. Which reminded me so much of the djinn or the genies because they have a history, or not history, but like a lore of putting a twist on the syntax. Like, oh, you wished for this, well, you got this, but it wasn't what you wished for. You weren't specific enough.
Like, technically, I gave you what you wanted.
Yeah. That's one of the things I always like, though, with that premise, because that premise has been around. Like that story has been around for probably since human beings have been telling stories. It's like, oh, I remember when I was a kid, there was a story of two crows and a fox, and the crows were fighting over like who had the bigger piece of cheese. And the wily fox is like, well, I can fix that for you. I can make them even. And the fox, nibbles on the cheese and he gives it back. And the one crow's like, well, his piece is bigger than mine now. And then the fox is like, oh, give it back. I'll fix it. He nibbles on the cheese. And then the second crow's like, well, his piece is bigger than mine now. And they go back and forth with the wily fox until there's no
the
cheese left.
The cheese.
Yeah. And they think, yeah, I was actually in a play when I was in first grade for that. I was actually the fox. And I always remember that story because it's like, there's, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel in business and in your personal life and relationships and things like that, you should be on the up and up, but there are a lot of unscrupulous people out there. And there's a lot of, scam artists out there. And that's what it reminded me of with that premise is like, you think you're going to get what you want, and you think you're going to get, well, like I said, in the premise it's like, ill-begotten wealth and fame and glory and that kind of stuff. It's like, nothing's ever as it seems, you know?
Yes.
I was so tickled with like your story and everybody else's. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like we had just a great mix of stories.
Actually, my thing is, I was reading it to find out which one of us had the creepiest story.
Oh, I think, yeah, there were well, creepy.
There were a couple of good contenders, but I'm pretty sure that my favorite creepy story out of
You're
there
gonna say
is Mr.
Tim.
Herrybone.
You're gonna say Tim Jeffries.
Mr. Herrybone?
Yep, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the mask. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was creepy.
He's like, I'm sold. This is great. I want to do this. I want to read this again.
Yeah.
It gave me that something is watching me feeling up my spine.
I'm so excited too because with that like Bobby is going to do a novel based off of his story Dante's 10th. And
nice.
Yeah, and that is that's a whole new universe that he created with it. And so he's going to do that, and we're talking about doing a series of them. But I think that'd be really cool because it's like everybody, it's kind of like a spaghetti western with vampires, to kind of sum it up. But that's a cool thing I think about, like storytelling and working with different people, because your perspective is going to be different than my perspective. I mean, I've had people review my stuff, and some folks, they just absolutely love it, and other people don't like it at all. And like I had one person say that I was a brilliant writer, and then I had another person say I was just rambling on. And it was like, well, okay, whatever you like, dude.
I'm gonna choose to believe the person who thinks I'm brilliant.
I mean, I feel like there's truth in both. I mean, like I like action oriented writing, and I know some people like and I typically feel like this is more like with romance and fantasy and like epic fantasy and that kind of stuff, but they like the pages upon pages of descriptors, and like they were eating the mango flavored jam that was ground and taken from the the freshest mangoes of the kingdom of mangoes, and what I mean, like they want all the minutia. For me, I'm more like, I don't even put in there that they're eating mango jam. I'm like, I don't try to write about, like, well, they were eating supper or that kind of stuff, because that's, I'm writing about like action, I'm not writing about like, now if I were writing more of a personal relationship type story, then I would talk about like, well, they went to dinner, at this place and blah, 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 I would do that. But the kind of stuff that I've been writing with fiction is more action oriented. And you have done kind of both, haven't you? You've done more like action, and you've done like epic fantasy type stuff.
My first set of novels, the Fate Circle Saga, is epic fantasy.
And that's a different ball game to me. I mean, like when you're writing epic fantasy versus like writing action oriented stuff, like your zombie type stuff, or your like even the cyberpunk stuff. So can you talk a little bit about that?
The difference between the two?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as you said, there are expectations in either genre. Now, of course, with epic fantasy, they are 100% expecting you to describe that sword in loving detail. Mm-hmm. They want you to tell us all about the broad-shouldered hero.
Yeah.
They want you to they want you to talk about these ancient cities where foots have not trod for years.
I always laugh because it's like they want you to tell you, they want you to tell them every color of the whiskers in the beard, is how I think of it. And it's cool. I mean, like, I know that's there's a lot of people out there that are readers. I love Tolkien, and I used to read a lot of fantasy when I was a kid. I'm not that kind of writer, you know. I'm more of like an action writer. Can you hold on for a second, Alex, so I can do the station ID?
Sure.
All right, so everybody, you're listening. I keep saying everybody. I mean you. You're listening today to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And when I say that, it's like weird because like you would think I'm talking like a million people, but I'm not. I'm talking to you, and I'm talking with Allie, and it's me. So, oh man. I'm trying. That's one of those habits that I have. Like I was like, "Hey, everybody!" I'm so used to saying, "Hey, everybody."
Yeah.
So back to the every color of the whiskers and the beard thing. How do you do like that going from that kind of storytelling to the more action oriented like sci-fi stuff that you like to write?
Actually, the funny part about it is because I have consumed so much story, that flipping back and forth is actually not that hard because my brain recognizes what type of story I'm trying to write.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, oh, well, these tropes happen, and this is the way the sentences should sound, and these are the paragraph links you should have. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter of once you've consumed enough of it, you start realizing, okay, this is your brain kind of files together things that go together.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
With
I
my
agree
horror
with you.
work,
Yeah.
with my horror work, which doesn't sound the same as my sci-fi work, and it doesn't sound the same as my epic fantasy, is a matter of it sounds a lot like I've been reading a lot of Stephen King because that is my primary, he's my primary model for horror.
I read a lot of
My
Stephen
primary
King as a
model
kid
for
too.
epic fantasy is actually Anne McCaffrey.
Oh wow.
May she rest in power.
That's awesome. Hey, I just got a message from Terry and Darlene. They said that they're listening. Now they didn't hear us earlier when we were talking about the Pie Society. So
Sweet.
recap here. Just for Terry and Darlene. Everybody. There we go with everybody again. Just to recap. So Allie and I were talking earlier about our appreciation and love of British culture and British shows and things like that and British food. And Allie is a big fan of the Pie Society. And I was telling Allie earlier that we went yesterday to celebrate Terry's birthday down at the Pie Society. And so, yeah, that's what we were talking about. It was pretty cool.
Yes. I very much enjoy a good pie or a good pasty even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love the fact that that they have the hot food and the pies and all. I had a I think they called it a steak and kidney.
Steak and kidney pie.
Mm-hmm. And Terry had the steak one, and Darlene had the chicken curry one.
Chicken curry is my absolute favorite.
I love chicken curry too. I love it.
Yeah, chicken curry is my absolute favorite. So it's like, if I get a chance and I'm downtown and I actually have time to go to the Pie Society, I will go have a chicken curry pasty just because.
Yeah. I mean, like, you kind of have to treat yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was so good. It was so rich too. Like, I'm not used to eating those kind of pies, but they're so delicious. I mean, like,
they are.
You know, you think of a pot pie, everybody. Don't think of a pot pie. That's like the closest American reference I can think of. But think of if you were to take a delicious, I don't know, steak, and like I had the steak and kidney that I had, it's like steak and liver. I like liver. But you take that and then you put it into a deliciously baked pie crust. And it's not a sweet pie, but it's like, so it just melts in your mouth. I mean, it was so delicious.
Yes.
And I had such a good time hanging out with Terry and Darlene, especially celebrating his birthday yesterday. And, he's got the new Steve Range comic just came out, number 11. I think he put it out about 2 weeks ago. I love it. I tell you what, that's one of the things I enjoy. Like I said, Allie, I enjoy talking, with my friends and supporting their stuff, and it's just wonderful to me. I mean, I feel like that is the kind of community that I want to be part of, and that I want to support, and because there's a lot of people out there publishing. There's a lot of people out there telling stories and stuff like that, and I always find it fascinating when I see my friends doing that.
Yes, and we're telling stories, and we're doing fun in the sandbox, really, because a lot of it is. I've had several people tell me, especially recently, that I really need to pick a genre and stop jumping like a frog on a hot rock.
No. I say no to that. You know why? Because you don't need to stifle yourself.
Well, the thing is, I get bored easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I write a set of books. I have one series right now that has 3 books, 3 novellas, and has 3 more books attached to it that I haven't written yet.
That's awesome.
But that is one series that I just happen to find interesting enough that I continue to write it. My mother, love her, has been bucking for a book 4 for the Fate Circle saga for probably about 2 years.
Why haven't you written it?
I don't have a book for it. I don't have a book 4 for it in me.
What do you mean you don't have it in you?
I don't. I literally, that is over in my head. That particular thing is over. I could go back and add on to the beginning, but I can't add on to the end.
I understand that. I mean, like, it's kind of weird, but I feel the same way about certain things. When I write it, I'm like, I don't really go back and, I mean, I'll read through it for the editing, but I don't really go back, mull over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like there are certain things that I finish, and once I finish with them, I'm finished with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything else.
We got to wrap it up here in a few minutes, but I wrote a novel last year, and I haven't finished editing it yet because I'll be honest with you, it's really dark, and I'm not even sure that I want to publish it. And I feel the same way, like you're talking about, like when you're done with it, you're done with it. I needed to write that story, and I needed to get it done. It's just like my first novel that I wrote. It's never been published. Yeah. I wrote it. Yeah. I had one friend read it. The friend was like, I hate to tell you this, but it's awful. And it kind of it took me it's so crazy, but it took me like a year to kind of get back into writing. But I'm done. I'm like, I needed to write it. I needed to get it out of me.
Yeah. Well, some things what a lot of people don't tell new writers is every project is not for public consumption.
Oh yeah.
Every project does not have to be written to be published. Sometimes you just have to write it to get it out of your system.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like, especially with that one story, it's really dark, and I'm not even sure that I want to put that out there. But I wrote it, and I finished it. But I'm like, matter of fact, it was supposed to be a submission for a different publisher, and I just told them, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be publishing this. So yeah, but
yeah.
All right, so we got to wrap it up for this first hour, Allie. For the folks that are just tuning in now, Alledria Hurt is an author. She's been talking with us this first hour. We've been talking about just having fun, talking about whatever and talking about your new stuff. So, Allie, where is the best place that people can check out your work?
www.alledriahurt.com/books.
And Alledria is spelled Alledria. D-R-I-A.
D-R-I-A.
Hurt. H-U-R-T, right?
H-U-R-T.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. I just want to make sure because you have a very unique name. Actually, I think you're the only alley that I know in the whole world.
Yeah, I'm the only Alledria, as far as I know, on the United States.
That's so awesome.